Okay, so things involving emo have gone from bad to worse. What do I mean? Well, multiple minors have come forward recently accusing them of allegedly grooming, amongst other things, of course. For the record, Jordan and I had no intention of publicly acknowledging emo since we wanted that part of our lives to be over. But since emo has now allegedly harmed minors, we can't help but feel obligated to bring awareness to this. So yeah, we're covering emo for hopefully the last time.
In this video, we will be covering everything that has happened since Minxie's original video on emo, as well as the new allegations that are coming to light. Because frankly, I have some things I want to bring up as well. And despite what emo wants to claim, this isn't a grudge anymore. This is a pattern of the most disgusting online behavior I have witnessed, experienced, and was personally subjected to in my life. But before we get into this video, I want to put out a massive trigger warning because holy shit! The following video includes mentions of pro-shipping, lolicon, shotacon, rape, pedophilia, zoophilia, grooming, stalking, fetishes, teacher-student content, transphobia, homophobia, ableism, suicide, suicide baiting, and gore. Viewer discretion is advised. So let's start with what happened after Minxie made her initial video.
So, back in May of 2020, I ended up finding and getting obsessed with this otome game known as Obey Me One Master to Rule Them All, and I started talking about it on my personal server.
I also got into it because Minxie did, and I started simping for Asmodeus. As I started getting into Obey Me more, I eventually came out as non-binary in September of 2020 and started going by Jordyn, since it was going to be my name if I was born a guy. My coming out had been public from the jump, and since emo had been stalking me at this point, they knew. So when I drew this, emo responded with this. They obviously got a lot of backlash for this, and later came out as gender fluid to avoid more backlash. They also started going by Jordyn. Creepy.
Hi, future Jordyn here. I just wanted to clarify that my problem with emo in the last clip wasn't that they were gender fluid. My problem was that I personally felt uncomfortable with them starting to go by Jordyn. This discomfort is strictly because of their history of copying me and a lot of what I do. Emoplayeranime being gender fluid is such a non-issue. Especially with everything else we're covering in this video. Also, the screenshot of them first telling me their chosen name was from 2023, while the other two screenshots were from 2020. In my defense, that DM from 2023 was the first time I found out they went by Jordyn. And by that point, they had copied more of my content. This bordering on plagiarism, which I will get to later.
Emo was still very salty about us cutting ties with them, so they tried to get on a moral high ground about us liking a game with demons as main characters. So they made some posts trying to chastise us for being into Obey Me, making sure to bring up that they're a good Christian who would never like such a game. It's funny for two reasons. Firstly, Emo didn't take into account our own religious beliefs, and secondly, they'd get into Obey Me too. So much for being a good Christian, I suppose. That's the thing you'll catch on about emo pretty quickly. They don't follow their own morals. They love to get on other people's asses for doing something they view as wrong, but then proceed to do it themselves. And this behavior they display to this very day, especially since they're trying to downplay their actions. But more on that later. I won't have anything else to say because I haven't been directly affected by emo's antics. They've lost interest in me after a while. So from here until closing thoughts, I will let people more affected by emo have their say and speak out about their experiences. Take it away.
After my Obey Me phase, I started getting into a similar game called Twisted Wonderland. While I wasn't a saint when it came to my Twisted Wonderland content, emo is not someone who can talk shit about it, even though they tried to, and I know they're gonna use it against me again. Anyways, during my Twist phase, I was doing an art stream. Unfortunately, this stream is lost media, so all I have to go off for this part is my word. However, both Emo and I have acknowledged that this stream happened, and I'll get to that in a bit. During my art stream, a bot of the character Humbert, yes, that Humbert, came into my chat and asked me if I was drawing nymphets. For those of you who don't know what this word means, it's basically, from my understanding, a word used to describe 13 to 15-year-olds in a sexual manner. But I could also be wrong, because I didn't even know the word existed until this disgusting piece of shit brought it up. So once I got a better idea of what the word meant, I started having a panic attack on stream. Whilst I was on the brink of throwing up, which I did after the stream ended, the bot kept spamming "I like little girls' feet" in the chat. And every time we tried to block or ban a Humbert bot, a new one would show up. This interaction reminded me of the amount of alts Emo would make to contact me back then. I don't remember the exact conversation that ensued after the bots kept showing up, but from what I vaguely remember, Minxie was telling the Humbert bots to stop, and one of the bots got snappy with Minxie. I don't remember exactly what it said, but at that moment my gut feeling told me that Emo was behind the bots, and after I said that out loud, Emo said, "Yeah, I'm right here," in the live chat. Whether it was poor timing or Emo was actually behind the bots, I will never know for sure. But with their history of making alts to contact me up until that point, the bots' behaviors towards Minxie, and the bullshit apology they made right after my stream ended, I have reason to believe that they were behind the Humbert bots. Now you may be wondering, Jordyn, what does this have to do with your twist phase? Well, that's where this post comes in. So what happened? Well, I was being stupid. More especially, stalking a friend I should have been over. Then there was some guy talking about lolicon like art. Understandably, they were disgusted. Even though you make student-teacher sex stories, and before you say it, yes, he is hot, but I'm not into the game. I want to pause right there. If it wasn't obvious enough, they were talking about my Twisted Wonderland content at the time. And like I've said, time and time again, they actually would have had a point here if they didn't get into Twisted Wonderland themselves, make a Twisted Wonderland self-insert that was also a student, ship that self-insert with Cruel, and write a teacher-student sex story themselves. Another thing I want to point out is that Emo is currently 20 years old, not 19 like they keep insisting they are. While I know for a fact they're lying about their age for a number of reasons, which we will definitely get into later, I have reason to believe that one of the reasons is that they can claim they were a minor when they borderline plagiarized my old NSFW headcanons and wrote their teacher-student story. But even if they were a minor, which again, they weren't, they had no business consuming my NSFW stuff, especially since I had them blocked on all my socials at that point. So this means they made alts just to consume and copy/plagiarize NSFW content that wasn't even for them in the first place. Whether they were a minor or not, that's still very reprehensible. Now, I would like to mention there were times where I did give them chances and got back into contact with them, but those moments were brief and I wasn't able to salvage that many screenshots. The last time I gave them another chance was in 2023. After blocking them again, Minxie and I made a pact to go radio silent on them, since us talking about them would just give them the attention they wanted. But after multiple victims came forward with grooming allegations, we just couldn't stay silent anymore. That's why we did these streams, because we wanted to show that their behavior wasn't new. This next part of the video will be narrated by Ella. It is one of the alleged victim's stories. This victim in particular allegedly knows more about what Emo was up to in late 2023 to early 2025 than we do. While I do still want to talk about what Emo was doing to me in 2025, that will come later, since Minxie and I made the decision to discuss these topics as chronologically as we can. So that being said, take it away, Ella.
Hi, future Jordyn again. Unfortunately, Ella couldn't record Tord's statement, so Azura decided to record it instead. Thank you for volunteering regardless, Ella. I love your voice work. Anyways, take it away.
Hello, my name is Tord. I'm 15 years old, and I'd like to share my story about emo. As silly as some stuff in this is, I have wanted to share my personal experiences with them for a while. They have done a lot of fucked up things to a lot of people. This is a brief explanation of their time in the Captain Underpants fandom. During December 2023, all the way to January 2025, my experience with Emoplayeranime had been nothing but draining and disturbing, which, in all honesty, is an understatement. I met Emo in a Captain Underpants server when I was just 13 years old. I was already suffering with a few things in my personal life, and I was seeking friends with similar interests as me. Unfortunately, this innocent decision has turned into a rabbit hole that dates back years. When I first joined it, I spoke to the server owner. Her name was Sasha. We became really close instantly, and she introduced me to Emo. I was a little weirded out by their behavior. They were almost clingy towards Sasha, but they were rather cold towards me. Sasha was 15, I was 13, and they were 19. Remember that. Our trio, which is what I'd call it, was mostly based on the fact that we all kinned one of the main characters, George, Harold, and Melvin. It was stupid, but I was grateful for even having friends at that point. I used the name Melvin. This is important information as some screenshots refer to me as that name. I don't remember the reason as to exactly why, but I had left the server at the start of 2024 and deleted Discord for a few months. I came back in April of that year. I remembered Sasha and decided to add her again. To my surprise, she had friend requests disabled. It was very strange. So I tried my luck with Emo to see if they had been in contact with her. What I got told happened during the time I had left still makes my stomach turn to this day, and I'm not exaggerating. They told me they had been accused of being a pedophile for drawing their OC making out with Harold. They used the excuse that they aged him up, so it wouldn't be weird. However, during my deep dive into old DMs to find bits and pieces to use as proof of their depraved behavior, I noticed I had told Sasha a reason why I thought Emo was odd and gave me weird vibes. They shipped their OC with Harold and George in a polyamorous relationship, and I thought it was gross. Especially since their OC is their self-insert. Themes of their OC in a relationship with child characters come up a lot in the entirety of Emo's long and disturbing digital footprint. They asked me if I was over 18 because as we were texting, they were drawing NSFW art. The thing is, I was texting them and Sasha at the same time. Sasha and her friends were encouraging me to see what they were doing and what lies they'll say regarding the situation, and if they say any predatory stuff. As I said before, I told them and Sasha when I first met them that I was 13 at the time. I didn't answer their question because I wanted to see what else they'd say so I can screenshot it and swiftly block them. They said something that still makes me sick to this day. To have both George and Harold bound and gagged because I'm into that. This was all the proof I needed to know that they were in fact as bad as all of Sasha and her friends said they were. Sasha had sent me a large paragraph that one of her friends had written about them and what they had done during the drama. Listed below, it reads, "Shit Emo has done. Mind you, Emo is 19 years old. Aging a minor for a makeout drawing, making mature fanfics about child characters, making a joke about marrying a cat, lied about their ex being manipulative, guilt-tripped minors, attention-seeking by saying they called BetterHelp and suicide prevention hotlines, forcing a young couple to break up, causing havoc and breaking rules in a server, begging to be mod in numerous servers after being demoted, copying others, had e-sex with a minor, added SA to this, simped for underage fictional boys, said someone bullied them, which is not true, peed on voice call in front of minors, claimed that someone stole their admin, compared volunteering at work to slavery, showed their younger brother naked on VC, brought drama outside of Discord, lied about the whole situation, and screenshotted stuff without the minor's permission. Albeit, the stuff about breaking server rules and such is irrelevant, but as you can see, the important stuff is about the minors and their brother. Those are the concerning parts. I found out that Emo had been doing sexual roleplays with Sasha and other people, but I wasn't told a lot. Sexual roleplays with minors is another common theme they would indulge in. They even told me they wanted to kill themselves because Sasha refused to speak to them. After making a group chat with me, Sasha, her friends, and Emo to confront them, it ended with everyone being even more divided and angry at each other. Emo having their server where they'd lie to their friends about us and cry wolf like they were the victim, and me and Sasha's friends having a server where we collected proof against them. When I turned 14 in May that year, and after gaining their trust once again, I decided I was done with them. They had constantly threatened to kill themselves, devoted half of their server to weird and obsessive channels and messages regarding Sasha, and just constantly victim baiting themselves. I had been given 2 leaked screenshots of their face. I used this and spammed it in their server. I did feel some remorse for this after. However, my mind has completely changed. I do not regret the decision I made. I cut contact with all of them, Sasha, KC, Rin, and Emo, and decided to move on with my life once again. That was, until around July. I decided to apologize to KC and Rin. I felt bad because our friendship had ended in bad blood. After I did, someone showed me something. After I cut contact, Emo would not stop talking about me. Just like they did with Sasha, there were countless messages and channels dedicated to hating me. They even showed me that during server calls, they do Gartic phone with people and they do drawings and write prompts of them killing me or being homeless and other weird shit. It was like looking at the scratches of a madman. As corny and funny as it is, I was really weirded out by it. My story with them doesn't end here, but I am only here to talk about their time in this specific fandom. Emoplayeranime is a creep. They self-diagnosed POCD to excuse the predatory behavior they've displayed. They are currently 20, turning 21 in November. I bring this up because they tell people they are 19, even though I have a screenshot from last year that proves that is a lie. They are a compulsive liar and a manipulative snake who preys on minors who are struggling mentally. They would then use them as a personal therapist or a chat AI bot, and then threaten to self-harm if they ever tried to leave. I'm so sorry to anyone and everyone affected by them, especially to the stalking and grooming victims. From the bottom of my heart, I wish you all the best, especially Sasha. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for sharing your story, Tord. Holy shit, that's fucked up. I just want to go off script and say how proud I am of you for sharing this. Dealing with emo is never easy, and you are so brave for coming forward with everything, especially given some of the stuff you sent us. And if anyone else is a victim of Emoplayeranime, please feel free to come forward. You're not alone. Anyways, this next part of the video will cover Emo's time in the Futurama fandom. Since I'm not a Futurama fan and neither is Minxie, we have asked Uncreative to cover this part of the video, since they know more about this than we do. Though I will say that there are a lot of parallels to their time in the Earthbound fandom. Like, holy shit, the deja vu is strong with this one.
In around June of 2025, Emoplayeranime, who went by Fry's true partner at the time, joined the Futurama Discord, which brought them to my attention. At first, I noticed they were very self-deprecating, which I believe was to get compliments from others in the server, as well as having bad fandom etiquette. This in itself wasn't bad, but the worst was yet to come. The bad fandom etiquette turned into harassing artists, including myself, over drawing Fry and Leela and saying it causes them physical harm. The reason they were eventually banned from the Discord and moved to Twitter was because they were sharing screenshots of a user in the server's conversation with one of their victims at the time, causing said victim to cause conflict on Twitter. Which here I should mention that user didn't do anything to upset Emo. She just happened to be more popular. But then they attacked her again on Twitter, so I made an account to defend her, which is when I've seen some of the worst things they've done, including but not limited to harassing minors over self-shipping, harassing artists over drawing Freela, harassing Freela shippers in general, threatening to cut themselves if Freela is mentioned, comparing another character to Donald Trump because they didn't like his Yumeis. They also allegedly suicide baited a couple times on Twitter. Now onto the really gross side of Emo's Futurama rampage. They said they liked to do not safe for work stuff with their Fry Plush. They romanticized Evo's actions in the Futurama Discord almost as if it was a fantasy of theirs. They posted Fry-made art that they marked as not safe for work on their DeviantArt on a Twitter with mostly minors following them, with no AIDS warning on it. They also commented on Fry's bulge being visible in one post, which was an image of his 12-year-old design, which was just his lower stomach and not what they thought it was. It's another example of Emo being inappropriate when they don't need to be. Here I should mention that they called me wrong for saying the way they're attracted to him is pedophilia, because he's a grown-ass man. I know that, but they have made sexual remarks about a design that is specifically supposed to be 12 years old. They also were weirdly friendly to me and a lot of other Fry simps, while being overly possessive and overly sexual to the point of even making me uncomfortable. Which I could understand if they were only talking to consenting adults, which most of the people Emo would talk to are not. There were two prominent users who interacted with Emo's account, one being another Fry simp, and the other being Dottie, both who are 15. This is the same account where Emo would post tweets like, "I want to drug and rape Fry. I want to cut Fry open and snuggle his heart. I want to be eaten by Fry," and other violent and sexual tweets. They also made some comments about me hating other Fry simps, which is not true, as the other 4 simps on Futurama Twitter will tell you. Now, they did technically apologize to me and the user mentioned earlier, but I do not believe they are genuine with these apologies, and I believe they are just trying to be let back in the fandom.
While some of this was going on, Emo was still stalking me. While it wasn't as frequent and as egregious as before, there were still some things I would like to bring up that personally made me uncomfortable. Starting with my straw page and the messages/gimmicks they sent on mine. While not everything sent to my straw page was from them, Emo would send stuff with her handwriting on it. So yeah, you ain't slick, Emo. Also, fuck you for sending me these 2 during Pride Month this year. I'm not transphobic, my ass. Another thing they tried to do was reach out to my friend and composer Ningem after I had mentioned he and I have collabed on things and that I pay him to make tracks for me in regards to my Clausella musical AUs. They have since deleted this screenshot because, as we all know, Emo has a knack for deleting evidence so that they can continue to downplay their actions, leave out important context, and paint themselves as the victim. And if they try to say that them stalking me is considered outdated, then I guess 2 months ago counts as outdated, since they left this comment on the Smiles and Tears cover Ningem and I worked on together. There are so many other Smiles and Tears covers out there that have way more views, and you chose to add the one Ningem and I did to your OC playlist? That's not a coincidence, Emo. That cover has close to 700 views. The description literally credits me as the vocalist. You've been stalking me for 6 years at this point, and you literally tried to reach out to Ningem right after I had mentioned him publicly on one of my streams. Anyways, as of now, our Smiles and Tears cover is no longer in Emo's playlist. But none of this comes close to what they allegedly did next. And their newest victim would like to say a few words about her experience as well. I was given permission to conduct an interview with her, so this next segment will be the interview, as well as anything else related to Dottie's story. Due to interruptions and other factors, the interview will be edited down to cut out any awkward silences. Hi. So today
Hi.
I am here with Dottie.
Hi.
That's what you want to go by, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, so I am here interviewing Dottie about her
Okay.
experience with Emoplayeranime. I was
I
given
like hit play anime.
I was given permission in advance to do this, and Dottie, if you need to
Yes.
stop at any point, let me know. It's okay.
Oh yeah, often
Um
let me know if my dogs are being loud and annoying because they are barking a lot right now. Sorry, that was off topic.
No, you're fine. You're fine. Whatever. I don't care if it gets off topic cuz eventually it'll the point we know what the point is of this.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's start with the obvious. What was your first interaction with Ebo?
It was either like near end of July or not July, June. Or start of July. I can't think too well. But I know it was around there. At the time it happened, I was very desperate for friends and I was desperate to meet people. And so one day I was on Twitter and I saw their account and it said, I would enjoy if someone would make a Fry roleplay account and pretend to date me. And so that's when I made that account.
Okay. And how were the role plays at first?
At first, they were it. The first one was very innocent as it could be, I guess.
Mm.
But this is a very important thing to note. They had said, because I was asking them, I was asking a lot of people at the time to send me gimmicks on my straw page, and on my straw page at the time, it was very big and out there that I was 15. So I think that's important to note before I say the rest of this.
Can
Yeah.
confirm it is in big numbers, or not numbers, big letters, big numbers.
Yeah. So very important to note that before I say the rest of this. And they said they viewed my straw page at the time, so they must have seen it. After the oh god, sorry.
It's okay. No, it's okay.
I don't I don't want to talk about this, but I know I have to.
It's okay. Just take your time.
Um, they, without asking and without permission, after the first roleplay, they became very, very sexual with me
Oh my god.
in the roleplay, quote unquote.
I'm so sorry.
It was like full on fucking sex roleplays.
Oh my gosh.
I didn't know their age at all. I just knew because I asked beforehand. They said, "Oh, I'm not comfortable with sharing it." And so I just thought they were another child, teenager online like me who's obsessed with a character. So I was like, I guess if this what makes you comfortable, I guess.
Yeah, I'm gonna put this out there right now. I've said this already, but or by the time this video is already done, it will be very obvious that emo is not they are not a minor. They are 20. Depending on
Yeah.
when this depending on when this video releases, they will either be 20 or 21.
And They told me, when they did eventually tell me their age, you want to know what they said?
What did they say?
19.
They said they were 19. Yeah, they've been bringing that up a lot, even though, yeah, we have the receipts proving that they're 20. And basic math tells me that they're 20. One of the things I was most worried about, because admittedly I was keeping track of this before you went public with this, because again, a lot of us were worried that you were actively being groomed. One of my concerns from the jump was that Emo was being very, very codependent with you. How
Yeah.
was that? What was that like? Because I know there's footage of them crying over you, and we will definitely play that footage in the video.
Yeah. Um, it was absolute shit.
Were there any examples of this that stood out to you? Dottie felt like she'd be more comfortable talking through the text-to-speech bot in Discord,
Yeah.
so we are going to resort to that instead. So, as I've asked before, are there any examples that you have that stuck out to you about the codependency?
I'm just gonna put this out there real quick. Let me type it. My bad.
I am disabled and I have trouble keeping myself stable or healthy, sometimes due to depression and a lot of other things affecting my life. This is importantly to note for what I'm about to share. About codependency.
Yeah, that's definitely another thing I had issue with. The fact that we're relying on you, especially with I'm not going to get into too much detail, but especially with what you've told me about your physical health and the constant stuff that you have to do for your physical health, that to me makes it fucked up, even more fucked up, because it's like, it's just,
Something I just remembered something that probably stuck out to me the most was
There was a time I was in an ambulance due to blood loss. You wanna know who kept spam calling my phone? BCI forgot to message them back.
no. Oh my god. Did they know you were in an ambulance?
I had told them previously I am about to go to an emergency room,
Oh my
and I
god.
told them the reason at the time. Another thing very important.
Whenever I mentioned hanging out with another online mutie or matching PFPS, anything to do with someone else, not them, you wanna know what they did? Here's a list. 1. Spam messages. 2. Spam voice messages of them saying don't leave me. 3. Spam calling. 4. Mentioning millions of times, I'm gonna do drugs again if you leave me. I'm gonna send myself to the hoe. Spittle or self-harm with my blades.
Wow. That's that's very excessive and awful. I'm gonna point out the elephant in the room. What? This is obviously really bad, and unfortunately, this isn't the first time they've done that to someone. Like Minxie has mentioned in her video. Unfortunately, she had to deal with the same thing. And the fact that Emo has now resorted to doing this to you, a disabled 15-year-old, that's disgusting, and it proves my point about their repeat behaviors. Anyways, the floor is yours.
Didn't you mention it's been 6 years and they still have not changed?
Yep. Hi, Future Jordyn again. I just wanted to say that I unfortunately fucked up the audio for the rest of this interview, but I still want to show the footage because probably one of the most egregious allegations is literally in this footage. Seriously, who the fuck says this to a minor? Especially since you're into gore. Why would you share that? Why would you say that to a minor? Anyways, I also want to go off script again and say how proud I am of Dottie. I think out of everyone here, Dottie has had it the worst when it came to the things Emo did to them. And while Dottie herself doesn't have the best track record, it's still important that we tell her story because no matter who she is, this still happened to her. And based on what I've seen, Dottie has a lot of potential to do great and do right. And I'm really hoping, Dottie, that you do take this to heart because I want to see you succeed. And you're doing great so far. But success doesn't end with just one victory, as my dad would say. So keep pushing forward and keep doing right because it will get better and you will get better and feel better. I'm so proud of you and I'm proud of what you've done so far and I can't wait to see what you do in the future. Thank you again, Dottie, for coming forward with all of this. I will now share the voice recordings and video we had mentioned in the interview.
Really do. I really want to. I really do. I really do. I don't have a safe space at home. I need comfort. And I really want you. I really want you to be there for me. She hates me. She hates me. Why? And now she's gonna die because I hurt her so bad. Why did I do it? Why didn't I word it better? I love you so much. I love you. I don't want you to leave me. Please don't leave me.
Before Dottie had left Emo, others had come forward with videos exposing Emo, so I jumped in and did a stream or two talking about most of what I had gone through, as well as what other videos were alleging. Links to all of these videos, as well as the Google Docs I and the other victims have made, will be in the description below. Yes, my streams were unprofessional, which is why we opted to make this video in the first place. Anyways, I asked my lovely girlfriend, Azura, if she could cover the immediate fallout after the stream happened, as well as her confrontation with Emo, and the results of that. Take it away, babe.
Holy shit on a shitter, is there a lot to cover? Alright, I will be covering events that happened from August 27th to September 21st of this year. August 27th was the day that Jordyn and Minxie came out with the initial live streams. Not even 15 minutes or so after the live streams ended, Emo began to crash out over all the allegations being presented against them. First off, it appeared in your recommended. That would mean you've been watching my partner, genius, once again going out of your way to seek Jordyn out. This further adds to the previous point of you continuing to stalk Jordyn to this day. Emo has since deleted the crash out screenshots, adding on to the destruction of evidence point. The day after those streams came out, Emo nuked their YouTube channel. This unfortunately doesn't last very long. Emo reactivated their YouTube on September 1st. During this, they began to start posting gimmicks they had received on their old straw page as a proof of harassment. FYI, none of us sent those gimmicks. There was a brief moment of time where Emo tried to run away from harassment and found their way onto TikTok. This also didn't last very long, as thanks to Uncreative sending out the warning call, Emo was quickly snuffed off the platform after proof of them grooming minors was made public. I had a confrontation with Emo on September 6th on their NSFW DeviantArt alt, Emo the Nekomimi. They kept trying to flip the narrative regarding everything that had been going on at that point in time with the callouts, the allegations, so on and so forth. I got so fed up with the bullshit that I went on an alt called Sky Shooting Sky Shooting 1996. If you remember Minxie's first video, you'll recognize the username. That was me going off on emo the first time they wouldn't leave Jordyn and Minxie alone. I had the same profile picture, same username from all those years ago. Kind of a wonder they didn't recognize me, but nothing new there. Emo's a fucking idiot. But what I put on blast on this account was enough to make Emo deactivate the Emo the Nekomimi alt. Strap in, folks. This is gonna be a long tangent. Can't believe I have to use this account again after a million fucking years. I'm gonna make this brief since you clearly lack the brain power to actually listen to something that isn't someone sucking your dick and enabling your pathetic delusions. There's 6 fucking years worth of evidence on the bullshit you pulled, Emo. 6 fucking years. There's more evidence on your shitty behavior than there ever was on you ever being innocent. Even now, you threaten suicide over the dumbest, most pointless, nonsensical problems. You think people are stalking you. Well, maybe they're right to. After all, you're down to grooming kids. Just because they're the ones too damn naive to question, hey, maybe a friend wouldn't use me as their emotional crutch for such a nothing burger as a goddamn ship. A goddamn ship. Hey! Hey! Maybe stop harassing people that don't like the same things you do. Maybe stop acting like a jealous little cunt over stuff that's more popular than yours. Maybe stop threatening suicide over the smallest inconvenience to your poor little depressed feelings. Maybe stop crashing out over people getting sick of your bullshit and dropping your ass like the piece of human garbage that you are. You haven't made an effort to get better. You don't want to get better. A person that wants to get better will stop doing the same toxic behaviors they were doing at 15 years old. You want to get your way by acting as insufferable and toxic as possible and hope the poor sods that are friends with you are suckered into staying because they haven't gotten it through their heads that you're not someone worth sticking around. Newsflash, Emo. Mental illness isn't a personality, nor it is an excuse to be a pile of shit. No one wants you to kill yourself. We want you to grow the fuck up. You've been doing this for 6 fucking years, starting with 2 of my best friends, and it hasn't stopped. You stalked them, you've harassed them after they dropped your ass, and don't even try to pull something out of your ass to say that I have no proof. You've never wanted to let go, and we have the evidence to prove it. You have the fucking audacity to call my friend a puppet master when she saw through your manipulative bullshit. I don't see her making threats to kill herself to keep people around. I don't see her crashing out over a fucking kid cutting her off from her life. Do us all a favor and get off the fucking internet, Emo. At the rate you're going, you will end up with a case. And there is a lot more evidence stacked against you than the people stalking you. Heaven fucking forbid I defend my partner, I guess. On September 9th, Emo made a Twitter alt called Emo is Useless. It was made to slander Emo, but the funny part of it was they couldn't even do that right, as they would reference information that only Emo themselves would know, and even go on to defend themselves on some occasions. Several of us realized pretty fucking quick that it was Emo being Emo and not being slick, as per their usual. The account eventually got deleted, but something of note to mention, which will tie into the next section. They basically self-reported the alt by saying that Dottie wanted them dead on their YouTube channel. Way to take advantage of your emotionally vulnerable victim once again, dipshit. And from there, Emo would go on to try and smear Dottie's reputation.
One of the things Emo is doing to try and discredit Dottie is accusing her of being a zoophile for having a crush on Cat from CatDog. Obviously, being a furry and a zoo are 2 different things, but I'm not a furry, so I asked my friend Gatia to cover this part of the video. Take it away, bestie.
Hey, I'm Gatia, and as an average furry and monster lover, I'm going to point out not only how idiotic it is for emo to call Dottie a zoophile for liking cat from cat dog, but also how hypocritical they are to say that. Anthro, or anthropomorphic, is, in its simplest terms, taking non-human things, such as animals, and giving them human-like characteristics. In this case, furries are anthropomorphic animals that are essentially just people with their species swapped. Which means that yes, it's completely valid and okay to have a crush on anthro/furry characters as long as said characters are adults. And it isn't the same as being a zoophile. Zoophilia, or bestiality, is defined as sexual attraction to actual real animals, not the fictional kind that can speak, talk, and pay taxes. Yes, zoophilia is very much so gross and illegal, but no emo, Dottie is not a zoophile for liking cat, a character who actually is anthropomorphic and can speak out and give consent. Oh, but Gatia, cat and dog walk on all fours, and so they're actually pharaoh, not anthro, therefore it's still gross. First of all, if you actually looked at the cartoon world of cat dog, you can put 2 and 2 together that 1, all the characters are anthropomorphic and are generally depicted alongside humans, and 2, cat and dog are just anthro-conjoined twins. Why is that so important to emphasize? This is because emo and their dick riders have tried to claim that because they walk on their arms, or all fours, they're technically feral because they walk like animals. I'm sorry. Have you not seen actual conjoined twins that don't have legs and walk on their arms? Would you also call them feral for having to walk on their arms because that's how they were born? If cat and dog were humans, they would be the real-world equivalent to those conjoined twins, and you're basically being their in-world ableist to them. So stop trying to apply real-world logistics to a cartoon with wacky furries doing slapstick comedy because you're resorting to ableism to justify that shit. Why do you feel the need to go at these lengths just to make Dottie look bad for liking a furry character, when you yourself have had crushes on anthro characters in the past? After all, you had crushes on Sniffles from Happy Tree Friends and Kanito from Kanito Pet. Keep that last character in mind because he will be mentioned later on. It's simple, really. You have nothing concrete or important to actually say, and are trying to pull the holier-than-thou attitude. You're constant virtue signaling, claiming others are gross for doing something that are generally morally wrong, but then proceed to indulge in those things you said were wrong but fear backlash for. Rules for thee, but not for me, huh? Hope that rings a bell to you. Did you really think trying to make Dottie look bad was going to work? Did you genuinely think we wouldn't see past your shady attempts to not talk about the major issues about yourself that led us to make this video? I don't think so. All these attempts for us to look at the small cracks on the concrete won't make us look away from the tsunami of an allegation that is the fact you groomed kids.
Thank you, Gatia. I think this was the 4th time emo used the holier-than-thou approach to things that they've been and or still are hypocritical about. Anyways, let's talk about that crush on Kanito some more. Now this is disgusting for a couple of reasons. Other than the obvious of emo fantasizing about raping an axolotl anthro, they tried to defend themselves by saying they were high when they said this. Being high isn't an excuse to have rape fantasies. And the fact that someone was able to get screenshots of this at 13 years old means emo should not be around minors, period. Emo eventually tried to return to Twitter again to try and defend themselves, but pussied out when I hit them with the Kanito rape screenshots. Anyways, I think I've said just about everything I wanted to say about emo, so I'll let everyone else give their closing thoughts, but I will say one last thing on the matter. Emo, fuck you. And that's from the heart. No homo.
As someone who is the same age as emo, they have not changed past the age of 10. And it's very obvious if you look at their art, if you look at their behavior, if you look at the kind of people they're attracted to. It's all like stuff a 10-year-old would do. Because why are they attracted to specifically the Shotacon designs of every character they like? And also, why are they wanting to roleplay with minors? Because There are a lot of adults who are freaky on the internet. Why don't they just get one of them? I can tell you why. Emo doesn't want to acknowledge the fact that they're a fucking adult.
Hey, Tord here. I have something to say. This is dedicated to emo, because this is my closing thoughts, right? Yeah, you go get it. Fuck you, eat shit, die, get away from any fucking school and district that you're fucking in, and I hope your fucking job, the next job that you fucking get, fires you. I hope they also find out that you're a dirty fucking paedophile who, grooms kids and stalks people on the internet. Also, I hope you find a box to live in, because you're going to end up fucking homeless anyway, so like, what's the fucking point of finding a fucking job? Because you will never ever amount to anything other than fucking nonsense. You're a dirty nonce, you've got no talent, no future, no fucking job, and the only thing you're fucking good at is popping your pussy for fucking dirty people at your fucking work. You scruff. Who the fuck nonces on kids? Okay, Jimmy Savile, we fucking get it. You like kids? Fuck off, fuck you, get off the internet, and just stop drawing. Stop drawing, you create absolute dog shit.
You know, Emo, none of the shit you'd be caught in right now would be happening if you actually had enough of a brain to keep your mouth shut. Haven't you noticed yet that there are a lot more people against you than there are praising you? Haven't you noticed all the people coming forward against the shit that you've done? It's not outdated. It's a pattern. You can't commit to anything other than pissing yourself, whining over all the people that have been quote-unquote mean to you, over shit that you brought against yourself. To the people trying to defend them, you're defending a fucking pedophile. You're defending a hypocritical, manipulative, lying piece of human garbage that's so much of a coward, so much of a pathetic little pussy, that they can't face up to the cold, hard truth that they've groomed multiple children. They'd much rather delete the evidence saying that they have and try and cover their tracks rather than own up to it. They would much rather smear the reputation of their victims, flip the script, and say that everything is their victim's fault, instead of being the adult in this situation and take actual accountability. Oh, sure. Apologize about the shipping drama. Apologize over the Shotokan or the fetish art. Apologize over the art theft or the stalking that, by the way, you still continue to do that. It's not going to change a damn thing. You want to know why? You really want to know why? You've never changed. You've never made the barest effort to change. The barest fucking minimum to change. And it shows everywhere, from your garbage art, to your shitty writing, to your dumpster fire behavior. You've remained stuck at 15 years old when it comes to your growth as a person. We didn't give you a pass at 15, and we're especially not gonna give you a pass now at 20, especially when you've groomed kids, praying over them being more vulnerable than the adults that you first harassed. Don't give this person a safe space to be in. Let it be known that they aren't welcome in any fandom space or otherwise. Let this follow them for the rest of their fucking life. You've dug your own grave, Emo. Lie in it and squirm. Keep crashing out and throwing temper tantrums like a fucking toddler. You'll only make yourself look worse.
Emo, emo, emo. You know, I was hoping we'd never have to cover you again. Jordyn and I were pretty content with ignoring you and your antics because while you definitely were a thorn in our lives, and especially Jordyn's, all of that is small potatoes compared to what we found out about you. And even though you want to act like this was in some distant past, this has been going on for years up until recently, and I'm sure you would have gladly continued had you not gotten caught. You don't feel sorry for anyone you've hurt. Hell, you're trying to air out your victim's dirty laundry in hopes that you don't have to take accountability for being a creep. But even ignoring what you've done to Dottie, you still have all the instances of you being inappropriate towards other minors to answer for. But of course, you don't want to acknowledge those things, Because you know that no sensible person would forgive a creep. So you apologize for the lighter things, like being jealous of a popular artist or harassing people over a ship you don't like. But I can't even say you're taking accountability for those either, because you leave out all the terrible things you've done, like being overtly possessive over a fictional character, threatening self harm and suicide over a ship you don't like, and harassing underage sub shippers. Well, ain't this all familiar? Huh. I don't know what else to say to you anymore. Everything that needs to be said about you has been said by everyone else. Not to mention, contrary to what you want people to believe, you don't actually want to better yourself as a person. You've promised to change multiple times in the past, and yet you've only gotten worse as time goes on. And you only have yourself to blame. You can blame being dropped as a baby, you can blame being a groomed victim yourself, you can blame every single mental illness you have, and whatever other thing that apparently is an explanation for how you are now. But at the end of the day, those aren't excuses for what you've done. You're a lot more aware and calculated than you let on. And you only have yourself to blame now that you've been an adult for like quite some time. I don't forgive you for what you've done. I never will. How about you take that break you keep promising, huh? I hope it's a very long break, too. You've made your bed, Emo. Now you have to lie on it.